Welcome to the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Each episode will dive into the world of search engine optimization for cannabis dispensaries. We'll discuss the latest strategies and tactics to help your dispensary rank higher on search engines and attract more patients and customers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, join us as we explore how to maximize your online presence and stay ahead of the competition in the rapidly growing cannabis industry.
Hello, welcome back. We are on episode 64 of the High Rankings podcast. It doesn't feel like it, but I've been gone for a hot minute because we did pre-record the last episode because we know we don't want you guys to miss an episode. So now we're back. This week, we're going to be talking about branded keywords. But before we do that, let's do some catching up. Did you throw yourself down a mountain on your bike?
Yes. So Trestle opening day has come and gone. It was amazing. Yes. I stayed there for a couple nights. Me and the girlfriend buzzed up there. Girlfriend and I, pardon me, took my bike. It was all tuned up. It was nice and polished, ready to go. And yes, I almost hit a rock 3 or 4 times, like a big one, like a boulder. Almost hit a tree twice, and I forgot how hard it is on your body. I mean, I've got a big bike, like a lot of travel, like a big burly bike, and still, it's like going down a mountain, 30 miles an hour over like a bunch of rocks and roots and like hard terrain for 4 or 5 hours a day. It kind of takes a toll on your body. That and I'm old, so that doesn't really help. So yes, it was a lot of fun. It was a great opening day. I suck. This is nuts. So I was on a trail and it was a double black. It was a pretty aggressive trail too. This kid, he was, I don't know how far in front of me. It was 50, 60 feet. So like I could see him, but like he was in like pretty good distance in front of me. There's a huge gap. I can't do this gap. They say it's about 45, 50 feet. And on a trail, when you're going that fast, like you don't have to do it's not a mandatory gap. There's like a way to go around it. You just kind of ride your bike to the right of it, basically. Well, this kid does this gap. He lands and his handlebars snaps in half, blows off to the side of the trail. Yeah, and he goes down like fucking hard. So he was going probably 33 miles an hour, 34, like that when he was moving. His handlebars snap. He was going too fast. He jumped too high, and the impact was so great. His handlebars just exploded. He goes off, loses control, flips over the bike onto the right-hand side of the trail. Luckily, it wasn't, down the side of the mountain or anything. Obviously, like I slowed down. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then hop off the trail, go see him. They say if you crash, get off the trail because there's so many people behind you.
Yeah.
Especially like opening weekend. And yeah, he was pretty shaken up, of course. I mean, he was like 16, 17, 18, so he'll be fine. But yeah, you could tell he was seeing stars for a second. Yeah, he's like, I didn't know what happened. And he's like, yeah, man, my bars just broke. And I looked down, I was like, whoa, that is so that is terrifying. You're going that fast and have that. Because then it's like, okay, I just saw this kid's handlebars basically snap. It's like, is that gonna happen to me? So I'm going like 7 miles an hour for the rest of the day. Not for the rest of the day, for like the next 2 or 3 trails. Plus, that was on a double black diamond. That was a pretty aggressive trail, but he was fine. His buddies were a couple, not seconds. They're like behind me a bit. So they saw him, so they walked him down. Yeah, and he had a nice bike too. Like those were not like cheap handlebars. It was full carbon fiber, and carbon fiber just snaps like clean. Yeah, so he was fine. So other than that, great opening day. The lines are not too long. Gondolas were fully working, and yeah, I got some cool swag. While I was there, there's something I think they're called brake bumps. I don't remember what the kids were calling them, but yeah, there's none of that. So it's still early in the season that the trails are still nice and smooth. So you can go just like super fast around these turns, and that was cool. So my buddy who got me back into biking after a 20-year break, he's coming into you met him in Chicago. His name is Joe.
Yeah.
He's coming into town this upcoming weekend, so right before the 4th of July. And we're planning, I've already got my place, he's got his place. We're planning to stay there mid-July for a couple of days. So that'd be pretty cool. We've never done Winter Park before. We've gone on bike rides, but since my crash last year, we were supposed to go to Whistler. Obviously, that didn't happen. So this would be pretty cool to hit up Trestle when he's here. We can get the place. That was a lot of fun. We planned that out. And I'm thinking we'll go back to Winter Park for the 4th of July weekend and buzz around there. So that's basically what I've been up to, just taking the bike out, getting used to it. It's hard on your body. I know I sound like I'm old and yelling at clouds, like that meme, but it's kind of what it is. Like, holy, I was so sore after the first day. I also went pretty hard, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And the Oilers lost, which I've had poopy pants for a couple of days now because I thought they were going to come back and beat the Panthers, but they did not.
I saw the Florida team won, not my Florida. Well, I don't even follow hockey, but not my closest team. But I did see that a Florida team did, in fact, win the trophy thingamajig.
Yeah, which is too bad because they came back to even force a game 7 is pretty wild after being down 3. So it's a best of 7. So the first team to win 4 games. And Florida Panthers won 3 straight, and everybody just kind of wrote them off. And then the captain of the Oilers, who was the best player in the past 30-something years, other than Gretzky, he's like, no, all right, I'll just go and take over. And then he was dragging his team into game 7. And he was so good, he still got the playoff MVP even on a losing team. He was that fucking good.
Dang.
Which is pretty cool. But I was hoping Edmonton pulled off, just for the game of hockey. But it's pretty cool that they made it that far. And they're really not that great of a team. He's just so freakishly good. He pulled his team into the playoffs and subsequently finals. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer that they lost. I was hoping that they'd win. And it'd be great for the Team Canada and great for the game of hockey. But so yeah, that was about it. Tell me about your trip. You've shared some pictures of the Dags, is what we're saying.
Dags.
Yeah, tell me about this trip.
Well, it was hot as shit, which I'm used to because I live in Florida. But in Florida, we don't go outside. You know what I mean? We don't, unless we're on the boat. It was very hot, but I got to see some of my friends that I really only get to see once a year. And then a couple of my other friends they're from Ohio. So last year I saw them a couple of times, but it was good. A few of us stayed in an Airbnb. So we had 3 of the dogs with us, but they all belonged to one of my friends. 3 Belgian Malinois in a house. And one of them,
those are badass dogs.
They are badass dogs. One of them is 2, and he is a crackhead. But I love him. I love them all. So the trip was good. The only thing I will say is we were gone for almost a week, and by the time we came home, I was so sick of eating out.
Oh yeah.
Because we did have an Airbnb, but we were always doing something or always meeting people or whatever. So we ate out pretty much every meal. I mean, I took some protein shakes up or whatever, but almost every meal we ate out. And oh my God, we were all saying the same thing. We were all so sick of it by the time we left. So it's really nice to come home and not eat out. So in that's I guess if I had a gripe, which I know sounds like a real problem. I don't mean it in that way. It's just when you're not used to eating like that, it's just, wreaks havoc with your body. But no, we had a great time, raised a lot of money. I think there was $300,000 raised over the 2 days.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Where does that money go?
It goes to
what's it raised for?
So the money is raised for the Georgia Canine Police Foundation. So all of the money will go to medical bills, if a police canine or a retired police canine from Georgia gets injured or shot or something, they'll pick up the tab. There's a sort of semi-famous canine by the name of Jerry Lee. He got shot and he lost his front leg. So he's tripod, which is the cutest thing. They picked up all of his medical bills, and then they also bought his handler a brand new canine. It also goes to supplying heat alarms and stuff for vehicles so that the handlers know at all times what the temperature is inside the vehicle so that your dog's not going to get heat stroke or something. Protective vests, that kind of stuff, training. I think they've supplied 10 brand new canines with training, but they primarily take care of Georgia canines, I would say mostly, but I do know that they have also stepped up and taken care of other canines if they've needed it and they haven't had the support. So, yeah, the money goes to canines. Obviously, in terms of training, the handlers obviously receive the training as well, but the money itself is for the canines, not specifically the handler, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so last year they raised about $300,000, and then this year they raised about $300,000, and there were less people this year. I think just the economy's not really allowing for you know, many people to be able to afford to go. The event itself's cheap, but like getting there and staying there might not be. And people come from all over. There were people from Canada, there were people from California. And even though it's primarily for Georgia, there were handlers that were from all over. So one of my dearest friends out of Ohio, another friend from Maryland, someone from Chicago, Vegas, like handlers come from all over to support them. So that's where the money goes. It's like about $300,000. And then so now we're back. And then this weekend, my friend is celebrating her birthday a little early. So she's rented an Airbnb, but we're going up for the day to float around in one of the rivers and the springs up sort of close to our house. And then Joe's cousins are in town also. So we'll be spending time with them. And then scallop season starts on Monday. So we're not invited. My husband is taking the boys from work scalloping on Monday. We're not allowed to go. It's nice. And then obviously 4th of July is coming up. So it's kind of going to be a busy sort of week. And then I have nothing. So, yeah.
How does that event raise awareness with people like from Canada and coast?
They're pretty big on social media in terms of like they have a pretty big and active Instagram account, but also the handlers themselves raise awareness. So there's one dog in particular who got huge on TikTok. His name's Mattis. He's been all over everything. He wasn't on live PD in terms of being filmed by them, but he was on live PD in the studio. He's a very well-known dog. We were really lucky to meet him quite a few years ago on a vacation to Georgia. We met up with him and his handler, Mark, who's one of the nicest people, before he really kind of blew up. And then they were on an episode of America's Top Dog. And Mark is as nice as he comes across on everything I've ever seen him on. He genuinely is that nice. And then Mattis is like a 97-pound German Shepherd who actually won a Purple Heart. He almost died going after a bad guy. He accidentally jumped off a really high wall. No, he was injured. He chased and got the bad guy. But he's super, super well known. So somebody like him, he's really big on TikTok, weirdly enough, but he will raise awareness. So all of these handlers all have social media. They all put it out on their social media, and then it's kind of word of mouth. But also a lot of people that were there. This was my 4th year going. So a lot of people there, you know, because they've been there before. Or someone will have like a favorite canine that they really like, and they'll go to meet that person or whatever. So kind of depends. But yeah, and it's like $20 to get in. That's it. It's like $20 because what they do is they raise a lot of money they have a silent auction where businesses and people will donate items. And then they have a live auction with like items that are more likely to get more money, if that makes sense. But everything like that is donated. So that's primarily where they raise the money, is from the auctions.
Gotcha. It's always this time of year?
Yeah. Normally it's the beginning of June, but this year it was later, and I think next year is going to be about the same time. But anyway, that's cool. My life. And then hopefully this weekend will be in lots of water, but we'll see. See what the weather's doing, because it's Florida, so anything's possible.
Yeah. Branded keywords. That's our discussion, huh? The value of branded keywords.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today, because I don't know, we typically don't really talk about branded keywords much.
Not really. And this is kind of going back to that. There's this, of course, it blew up in the LinkedIn community with SEOs. The Google leak, the API leak. Speaking of the leak, I saw a funny post, and it was like 6 lines. It was, or not even 6, it was like 4 lines. Top line was like, before the Google leak, technical backlinks content. After Google leak, technical backlinks and content. It's basically like what
same thing.
Like what everybody basically knew. Like one of the biggest takeaways, at least to me, was the importance of branded keywords and the authority that signals to Google. So I even have a quote here in our episode outline. The quote says, "Build a notable, popular, well-recognized dispo in your community found outside of Google search." Ooh. So are you big in the community? Do you do community events? Are you, it's Pride Month. Like, we see Dispo set up, around downtown Denver here. Do you sponsor community events? Are you active in social media? That's a big one, all over Instagram. A lot of times, we see the back end of Google Analytics, of course, like traffic attribution.
Mm.
And if you've got a solid traffic conduit from social media, you're generally speaking, your branded keyword should be pretty strong.
Which is kind of funny because I always thought that, like, when you're trying to do SEO, you don't want branded keyword. I mean, you don't want to place such an emphasis on branded keywords because this is what I thought right at the beginning. Because, if you just want to come up in a search and people don't necessarily know the name of your dispensary, for example, you don't, you want to come up for them looking for something near them. But obviously, now that I've been around for a hot minute, it's just as important to build your brand as it is for people to be able to find you without necessarily knowing your name if they're looking for the first time. But you're right. Like, I know, for example, we have one client who they are really active in their community. And if you're on their Instagram, they're always doing something, whether it's something for Pride Month or whether it's just a community cleanup or whatever it is. They are really they're actually really community driven because that's the vibe that they, in their multiple locations, they go for. It's like, we are part of the community. We want the community to see us that way. And so they really actively get involved in that. And so when you think of them, I'm biased because they're a client of ours, but also when I think of them, I really do think of them as community driven, because when they come up on my Instagram page, typically it's something that they're doing within, the area that they are. So definitely getting involved in that. And it's not necessarily something big like Pride Month that they do. They'll do it for a random Wednesday. They'll have something going on. So yeah, I think it's very important because then, even if you live in the community and you don't need a dispo for any reason, if someone asks you for one, they'll be familiar to you because you've seen them so much.
Right.
Like, remember I said to you the other day, I drove past a dispensary that's opening and I was like, oh, is that? We had been talking and I was like, is that them? And you were like, yep. And I was like, oh, okay. We've never worked with them. It's brand new in my area. But the recognition of the brand was what made me ask you, hey, that's them, right? Again, it was the brand awareness that they've created.
Pretty sure I went to Google search and typed in the brand name and not like the www.dispensary.com. Like I searched the brand name.
Yeah.
No, in that discovery process. What exactly is a branded keyword?
Well, a branded keyword is going to have the name of your dispensary in it. So, for example, www.mydispensary.com would be like, my dispensary is the name of dispensary, right? So if you want to find something belonging to them, you'd be like, my dispensary vape products, my dispensary edibles. You literally use the name of the brand in your search.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. And then, so for a branded www.dispensary.com, it's a good idea to have both branded and non-branded keywords
100%. Yep.
as part of your keyword list.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you want the golden keyword dispensary near me. That should be at the top, along with like products in your area. And then ranking for those keywords inherently will get you, well, the idea is to get you ranked for a branded keyword as well, dispensary.com.
Mm-hmm.
And those are both essential for Google because it signals authoritative searches. And if nobody in Denver is searching Charlie's dispensary, you could probably guess, I don't have my, shit together. It's not a reputable location. And as the brand continues to grow, you can certainly see it. We saw this, it's over a year ago when we had a brand new client and they had it was 80% branded searches. And then we jumped in and that first month, their organic sessions shot up like 25%. It was like the first 2 weeks, it shot up right away just because that was such a strong signal to Google because you're kind of building a house of straw, I guess house of cards is a better way of putting it, with just branded searches. But when you start putting in the proper keywords, then you can really take off and have that two-pronged approach, branded searches and the proper keywords for your location.
So if you don't do any branded keywords, if you just focus on like keywords and you specifically don't focus anything on, with your name in it or whatever, how does that work for like conversion rates and stuff? Like, are you saying that you're not going to rank as fast because you won't have any authority if you don't have any branding?
If you don't have branded searches, you're missing opportunity and it's not as authoritative in Google. So you're not going to rank as quickly.
Because they're not going to recognize that you're legit.
Exactly. It's going to take longer. That's why brand new domain. Well, we don't work with brand new domains, but that's why brand new domains are so hard to rank because there's zero authority. There's zero authority. There's zero backlinks. There's just nothing there. In the SEO community, it's called the Google Sandbox. You're stuck in there. So that's why it's important to build something outside of Google in the community, in your respective locations, community outreach, whatever it is, social media, using that. That's why that's so important.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we don't obviously deal with social media by any means, but yeah, social media is massive in terms of getting the recognition, getting your name out there. So you never just want to do just one thing. You know, you don't want to just do SEO or just do Instagram or just do TikTok. In order to be successful, to build up your brand, you need a multi-pronged approach and find people who are strong in each area. Because your SEO person is not going to be your TikTok person. They're not going to be the same person because what's successful in an SEO campaign does not translate over into TikTok campaigns.
Right.
Those
are called unicorns.
You're going to have a far more creative person handling your TikTok and a far more statistical, analytical type brain working on an SEO campaign, at least mapping it out and doing a content calendar and those kind of things. Obviously, a creative type will do your content in terms of writing it, but in terms of actually like project managing an SEO campaign, it's going to tend to be someone less creative, more data driven. But you should, multi-prong approach on that for sure.
How can a dispenser utilize Google business profiles with branded keywords? I think.
Well, your name's going to be in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, that's going to help. Because that's the whole point. Your GMB is literally going to be the name of your dispensary and your location, your website, your telephone number, all of that stuff is going to be in there. If you've got multiple locations, then you'll have a GMB for each location, and the website address will be specific to that location and not your dispensary as a whole. That's a big one. But in terms of branding, I mean, obviously your GMB is literally going to have Charlie's Dispensary LLC, or however we're going to call your dispensary.
I think reviews are a huge portion of that. If you can ask nicely your customers, I went to Charlie's Dispensary, is the most awesome ever. He has great hair and I had a great experience. And then I don't know, maybe give him like a sticker or something. That's a nice little hack, leaving that branded name. And even if the customer will, because to me, it's a lot. I don't really like, well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't like leaving reviews just because it takes my time and I just don't feel like doing it. So if you can ask nicely to a customer to leave a review and ask them to put in the brand, like the name of the Dispo and the product that they purchased, that'd be freaking awesome. And that's a huge, huge signal to Google. So that's a good way to increase branded searches. And also we've had an episode about proper linking, haven't we? Page linking, like anchor text.
Page linking, yes, we did. It was early on. It was really.
I think we have, yeah. And page linking, that's a really easy way to get an internal page linking, like to your homepage. It should be, so like if it's Charlie's Dispensary and I'm doing like, I don't know, a blog post about purple weed, then on that, like the call to action on the very last paragraph can be like, yeah, and stop by, if you're in the Denver area, stop by Charlie's Dispo and check out the purple weed selection that he has, something like that. Where it says Charlie's Dispo, on there you can page link it back to the homepage. So it's an easy way to increase your branded searches.
I am going to be completely honest with you. I don't know that I've ever named a business in a review, but now I'm going to have to because now I know better. I literally don't, because I'm like, in my brain, I was leaving the review for the business so everybody knew who I was talking about. But hearing it out loud, it's like, oh, of course, like that makes perfect sense.
It could be for like, I think that the last one I did, I think it was when we were in Chicago, was for like a big steakhouse, like a big national steakhouse, like Ruth's Chris maybe. So yeah, like went to the Ruth's Chris. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Ruth's
Chris. Yeah, in Chicago, and got the tomahawk steak and had a great experience. Blah blah. Something along those lines are the reviews that like really really drive authority for retailers.
Yeah, and it makes total sense, like literally having this conversation. But obviously, I didn't do that, so now I'm gonna make sure I do it. But that's the thing. It's like, I mean, I've been working in SEO for a while now, and I'm still learning new stuff. or still, no, maybe not learning it, but still being like, oh, like, yeah, no, that totally makes sense, Like now after all this time, there's always something that you can do better, or you can find a different way to do that would be more effective, or, there's always something, because people that think that they know it all, like you don't, because it changes all the time.
Wow. SEO literally changes every single day.
Yeah, constantly. Yeah. Can't get comfortable.
How do you track these branded searches or keywords, pardon me?
Like the same way you would track organic, like
Yeah, I mean,
so and Google Analytics, and see, this is the back end bit that I don't want to go involved in. You have to set it up on the back end in order for it to track anything for you. That much I know, because we've run into clients who haven't done it. But yeah, Google Analytics, I assume, would be the way that you would track that. And also like SEMrush or Ahrefs, because you could see what keywords are and stuff like that, obviously.
Yeah, you can do position tracking, but for a branded keyword, I would go into Google Search Console, go into query. So if you go into Search Console and then performance, and then scroll to the bottom and look under queries, your branded searches generally speaking, your branded searches are the top ones. And then just keep an eye on that, and then do like a comparison review. So like the last 28 days to the previous 28 days before that. And then hopefully your branded searches go up and to the right. So that number increases month over month. That's how you should keep track of it. And then of course on Google Analytics, just go into like a pages and screens. You can check the homepage and any of your local landers as well. You can check that content that way. But I think Search Console is the best way for your branded searches as well. And you can check too, check the subsequent days after like a community event. If you do like outreach or like a sponsored event or something like that on a Monday, and I know I do a Monday, but like let's just say it is a Monday, and then see how your traffic performs for like the next week or so from that, kind of like the takeaway for branded searches. We can track that on Search Console.
If you set it up.
Yeah. Which is still mind blowing that it doesn't happen, but I mean, that's where we come in and just set it up for them.
But you know what? You don't know what you don't know, right? So if you've never had a need to be analyzing data from your website for whatever reason, you wouldn't know that you need.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and just check it, and have a strong content calendar, and just check, analyze, and make sure everything's clean. There's no bullshit on the website, no APIs or anything like that, and just keep it as clean as possible, and then just adjust, iterate as you move forward with the content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in summary, branded keywords are as important as non-branded keywords. And when you are coming up with what you're going to do for your SEO, whether it's content outlines, content calendars, silos, state pages, location pages, bear in mind that you need to make sure you're including both branded keywords and non-branded keywords for optimal SEO results, and also for you to make sure that you're doing that in tandem with other things. So working in your community, making sure your community knows you're there, social media, including Instagram, TikTok, Facebook's kind of going down the pan, but Facebook, those kind of things. You want everything together, but in a cohesive way.
Right. Just build the brand, right? Build the authority of your location, and the traffic will come.
Exactly.
I think that's about it, huh?
I think so. I do think so. We'll have one more episode before 4th of July, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we will. So I guess I don't need to wish you a happy 4th of July, because I'm going to talk to you before then. So have a great week. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, you know where to find us. LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe, give us a review. Oh, our Instagram's up over 100 people now.
Damn.
Like, we're popular.
I'm popular.
100 people, not 100,000 people. We're getting there. We're like the tortoise and the hare, we being the tortoise in this situation. But we're getting there. So anyway, that's where you can find us. If there's anything you want us to cover, reach out to us and let us know. In the meantime, have a great week, and we will talk to you same time next week.
Peace.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found value in the insight and the tips we shared. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling super generous, we would love it if you left us a review. If there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover in a future episode, or if you have any questions, you can go ahead and find us on LinkedIn or YouTube. We'll see you next time.